3. Reminder that this is a public meeting, and if you're calling in on your phones, please mute those. We will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, if you've been living under a rock the last several days, then you missed this and this. So I'm a season ticket holder and have been for the last, I don't know how many years, probably at least more than 15 anyway. And the Columbus Crew won the Eastern Conference because hell is real. And we beat Cincinnati. And it was a great game, so if you weren't watching, we were down 2-0 at halftime, and we came back, and we won 3-2 in extra time. And it was a nail biter because I spent the entirety of, my wife and I spent the entirety of extra time waiting for the clock to tick off. And we beat Cincinnati in TQL Stadium, waiting for the clock to tick off. And this Saturday, we play LAFC in Lower.com Field. So we are here this morning. We have Mr. Glesson from the Crew to celebrate Columbus Crew being the Eastern Conference champions and to cheer them on to victory on Saturday night against LAFC. Nothing good comes from the left coast. Nothing good comes from the left coast. We're going to beat them here in the Midwest on Saturday night. I spent the entire time last night. I'm so happy that that the Crew and the MLS decided to redo the ticket situation tomorrow morning. I spent I don't know how much time last night trying to get tickets, and I got kicked off twice while I was trying to buy tickets last night. My wife and daughter were very happy to send me the email this morning, a copy of the email this morning to let me know that the tickets are back on sale again tomorrow morning. So thank you to the Crew and to the MLS for that. But I'd like to invite you up and say a few words if you'd like, and then we want to get some pictures. And I would like to also, when you're done, allow my colleagues to say whatever they'd like. It's always great, and it's been a fun team to watch this year. People fight over my tickets all the time. My kids go crazy. My son's already bugging me and put in his dibs for next season when Inter Miami comes, for when Messi's here. So if Messi decides not to play next year when they come to Columbus, I think I'm gonna fly to Miami and have some words with him. But
call one of my colleagues, not me.
So anyway, please.
Well, Board of Commissioners, thank you so much for having me. It's a true pleasure and honor that I'm able to bring in the Eastern Conference Championship trophy here today. This trophy is not here today because of Wilfred Nancy, Tim Bezbachenko, myself. This trophy is here today because of all of our great partners at the county, at the city, at the state, and then our supporters here locally, right? There's a scenario in which, if not all of those people coming together 4 years ago, that this trophy is in Austin, Texas right now. So one, I want to thank everyone in this room. I want to thank the entire board. I want to thank the county for all of the work that was done to save the Crew, to build Lower.com Field, to enable all of the development that is happening across Astor Park and the neighborhood. One of the things that gets me really excited about Saturday is a national spotlight on Columbus, aerial views that show brand new office buildings being built directly adjacent to Lower.com Field, a parking garage that's built, real estate, mixed-use development, residential coming out of the ground, and all of the excitement around that. 5 years ago, that was a barren wasteland at a dead-end road. This trophy is a reflection of great success on the pitch, but it's here because of so much more than that. So again, thank all of you. Saturday night was incredible. We went down to Cincinnati, fortunately 90 minutes away, so our players and their families could also be there, which was really important and really special. But also our supporters, right? Our supporters, they showed up in Atlanta. They showed up in Orlando. They showed up in Cincinnati. And because of that, on Saturday, they can walk to, Uber to, drive to Lower.com Field. And we're going to bring home a much bigger trophy. And when we come back next week, it may be a couple weeks afterwards. I think that the players will spend some time with the trophy before we get it back. We're going to have a bigger trophy, and it's going to be cool, and it's going to be excited. But this was all part of the plan. This isn't here by surprise to us. We knew when we undertook, as Haslam Sports Group, this vision for the Crew, we always rely on three pillars. We want to win on the pitch. We want to give back to our community, and we want to give back to our fans. The goal has always been to bring trophies to Columbus. The goal is going to continue to be to bring trophies in Columbus. Commissioner and I were talking, and a friend of mine at the league office on Friday said, everyone at the league office is cheering against you. I said, why? I said, they don't want Columbus to be able to host an MLS Cup and an MLS All-Star game within 8 months of each other, right? They want to spread the wealth. I have zero interest whatsoever in spreading any wealth as it relates to the major tentpole events here in Columbus, Ohio. So Saturday is a part of that. The All-Star game next summer is a part of that. We've hosted U.S. men's national team, U.S. women's national team. We're going to continue to host global events right here in Columbus. It's going to be so much bigger than soccer, but we are leveraging soccer as a catalyst for major economic impact and to continue to shine a spotlight on the city of Columbus and Franklin County. So that's
Well,
it.
Josh, we agree with you, and we appreciate you being here this morning. I'm going to open this up to my two colleagues.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
By the way, before they speak, I don't want to take no offense, but I love Columbus black and gold. I just want to say that.
And you look great in it. You look great in that black and gold, man.
I don't like black and gold 3 hours
Yeah.
east of here, but I love Columbus black.
Hey, I just said that black gold looks very good on you, sir. I was gonna say, you knew I was gonna say something too, didn't you? You do it, yeah, you do it, yeah.
No, I had you.
I know.
Yeah, I had to get
We were ready. She gave me the look. Carly was like, "You got him right." Yeah. Well, Josh, first of all, let me just say, I was thinking about growing up in Columbus, and as a kid, I remember two sporting events: the Ohio State football games and Clippers games, and both were a big deal for a kid from the east side of Columbus. And every now and then, I actually worked at the Ohio State, and I worked at the stadium selling Coca-Cola. And with the Clippers, you know, they would give free tickets to Columbus City schools, and they'd take us, we'd get to go sometimes. It would be such a major event. And now as adults, some couple years later, experiences like the Clippers and the Crew Stadium and Ohio State and Nationwide Arena have really just changed the landscape for Central Ohio. Not because it's a sport team and we're winning, but because it's something that we all embrace together. You know, it really has come to define us in many ways. I live on Goodale, so I live right by the stadium. And when there is a Crew game happening, you know, because it's just like the feel of an Ohio State game. Everybody's they've parked somewhere, and they're walking with their families, with their friends. They're having a good time. It's a healthy environment that really makes me proud to be a part of Central Ohio. And then when you win, you create a kind of spirit about this community that we all can get behind. And, you know, when you're going through tough things in life, like we all are, you know, it doesn't matter what family you're in or where you live, everybody experiences ups and downs. The Crew give people something to look forward to. It puts a smile on folks' face, and as hard as those young men are working, and the coaches and the staff, all the time they put in, it means it's more than a soccer game. You know, it is really representative of this community as a family. And so I just want to say, we're with you 100% of the way. If you can do anything to help us get tickets, we greatly appreciate that. Just kidding, everyone. We're in line to, my son was so upset that he didn't get, he's coming home from D.C. just for the game.
Good.
By the way. Whether he gets tickets or not, he's like, I just want to be in Columbus to support the Crew. He's a huge soccer fan. So my point in saying all this is congratulations. I mean, thank you for bringing the trophy and sharing that. We'll look forward to the trophy next week when you come back. and just keep up the great work. We're with you 100% along the way, and we're family. We're part of the Crew family.
Thank you so much. And I think we all know this. Nothing can be in a polarizing world, nothing is as galvanizing as sports,
Yep.
especially local sports. And I have not run into anyone in the last 3 days who is nothing short of excited for the Columbus Crew and the MLS Cup to be hosted here. It is a powerful tool that is sports, and when we use it for good, we can do really, really cool things. So we're excited to have the entire city behind us. We're excited to know that you're going to be at the match rather than trying to drive to dinner in the Arena District on Saturday. I would not recommend doing that, but that's a good thing. That's a really, really exciting thing, and we're excited to continue to use our platform with sports as a tool for good and a tool for bringing a community together. So thank you.
Yeah, if I could, President O'Grady, and I won't add too much to what my colleagues already said, other than congratulations. And Commissioner Boyce took the words right out of my mouth. That sports is the tie that binds us, right? In a time where things can be difficult. And I think it's just another reason why, just a few years ago when I first came to the Board of Commissioners, I remember there was like something in the paper about why we would invest. And I hope that our community sees why it's important for the city, the county, and the state to invest in sports, because it's the feel-good thing. No matter what's going on, we tend to put our differences aside and come together to root on our home team. And so it makes me feel good. I have not been a soccer fan until I came here to Columbus for law school, and then really tried to understand the sport. I come from a baseball background, and so that's always been my sport. But I'm proud to represent a county that invest in our teams, and we have some really great teams. And when people say, oh, Columbus doesn't have a professional sports team, I'm like, yes, we do. And people tend to forget about it, but it's another reason. The Crew and your success is another reason why Columbus is so special, and it continues to put us on the map. So good luck this weekend, and looking forward to seeing the other trophy here as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
And-
excited. We're excited. For those of you who haven't been there, it's such an exciting team and such an exciting style of play. And the league should be rooting for the Crew, because anybody that's tuning in to watch, they're on the attack all the time. You had to know, even though they were down 2-0 at half, that you had to know the second half was going to be a great game and a great time to watch, because they were just constantly attacking Cincinnati. And they're, LA's got to know they're in for trouble on Saturday night, because our offense is just, it's smothering. It's constant attacking, and it's fun to watch. Just fun to watch.
It's funny, David Pepper has sent me a text message. We always go back and forth about the different teams. Obviously, I'm a Steelers fan for football, and he's Bengals, but he texted on a Saturday about the Crew. He's like, painful loss for Cincinnati. I was like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So, yeah.
Well,
You could feel it in the building on this past Saturday night, even at the 70th minute down 2-0. You could feel the first one coming. We got the first one. The building was quiet. They were up 2-1 in the Eastern Conference Final, and they knew you could feel the second one coming. And when we got the second one, the sport and soccer are fickle things, but it felt like it was just a matter of time until the third came in. And this Saturday will be, LAFC plays a similar style as Cincinnati. I think they execute at a slightly better level. They don't want the ball. We're going to possess the ball a lot. They want to score on the counter, but we have all of the tools. We have an incredible roster that was assembled by Bez and Issa Tall and Corey Ray, and executed flawlessly by Coach Wilfried so far these playoffs. I wouldn't bet against the Crew.
that's right.
I wouldn't bet against the Crew. And one of the other cool things about the platform and what soccer has become in America is, while we'll be rooting against them, Magic Johnson, Will Ferrell, Mia Hamm, Nomar Garcia-Parra, they're all part owners of LAFC. They're all on the attendee list for this Saturday. So being able to showcase our stadium to those people as well when they come here for 2 or 3 days and they stay in the short north is really, really exciting and cool too.
Yeah. Cool.
I just want to add one other thing too, because you brought up the financing of Crusadeium, and so the public may be listening and wondering kind of how the county plays a role in sports teams, and then sometimes they may even question our decisions that we make in terms of as an institution. And here is an example where when the situation came up with Crew moving to Austin, with the team moving to Austin, where the political resources coupled with the corporate and business community and the private community in general came together to lay the gauntlet down and for this community to say, you are home and you are going to be home and we're going to make a place for you. But here's the underlying thing that I think is often missed when we talk about sports, and you hit the nail on the head. Think of the economic development that has occurred in that area since we built the Crew Stadium. First of all, it is a fabulous venue and
It is.
experience. I mean, one of the best.
Yep.
One of the best. I would.
In sport, not just soccer, in sport.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. I mean, it is a fun experience. It is a great experience. If you're listening, you haven't gone to a game, you probably won't be getting in this game. But go to a game, the regular season next year, and you will get the experience of just being in the stadium. But again, that economic development, and I don't know what the numbers are, but the jobs that are created, the sales tax that's generated, the bed tax that's generated, the commerce that takes place. And like I said, I live on Goodell, and I can see the activity happening. And I go, oh, there's a Crew game tonight. I'm not going anywhere, because the traffic is congested right there. And my point is, these are the types of things that sometimes the public doesn't see. They only see us celebrating the trophy and the game, the win itself. But embedded and underlying all of that are quality of life for Central Ohio contribution that has moved the needle and will only get better over the next decade based on what we are projecting to happen in this corridor. And you think about that corridor 10, 15 years ago, even before, I can't remember, right, when the Clipper Stadium, Huntington Ballpark was mid-2000s, I think.
2009, well, 2009 is when it opened.
When it opened. And so you think about, so before that, what was there? And now you look at it, and it makes all of the difference. And so, last point, we'll pass resolutions today appropriating funds to human services, safety net programs. We will pass resolutions for economic development, the different things that impact housing and jobs and whatnot. But then people say, well, you're putting money into a stadium. This is why. This is the economic case is better than you know. And so we make decisions as an institution that are fiduciary oriented and economic based, what's on the best interest of this community. And I just didn't want to lose that point in the hype and celebration of the game for Saturday, that this is also about economic development.
It's an economic driver,
My
revenue
colleague-
generator.
My colleagues have made the point and continue to make the point, and I've made it over the years every time, that our investments in sports, the return on the investment continues to fund and fuel all the work that we do here, and it's just a no-brainer.
Yes, I think that gets lost. The investment, it's not giving money towards sport, it's an investment in sports.
Absolutely.
But for that investment in 2019, there's no 2020 MLS Cup, there's no 2023 MLS Cup, there's no Messi, there's no MLS All-Star Game. We are 4 years to 5 years into that initial investment, and I'd be hard-pressed to say that the county, the city, the state aren't well out ahead of that investment with an economic return from all of the activity generated by those massive global events, the economic return of meaningful mixed-use development in an area, 33 acres that was undeveloped, was barren, was old municipal city buildings. That doesn't happen without the investment from our partners at the county, at the city, at the state. So we'll forever be grateful, and I think as it becomes more and more clear, that investment has more than paid itself off at this point.
Which is why it's always best when we can have you, Josh, here to celebrate and to hoist a trophy and
Yes.
to take a picture. Thank you.
Winning helps.
Yeah.
You know what also helps? Tickets.
Oh, yeah. Hey, where's Bart?
Bart is back there.
Come on up, Bart.
I said Bart was heavily involved in saving the crew. He deserves a picture.
Mr. Save the Crew, Franklin
Bart,
County. Come on
Bart,
up, Bart.
Bart saved the crew. We know Bart saved the crew, but.
I predate Anthony Precourt, for God's sakes. The name that shouldn't be spoken. That's right. Who finished 12th, by the way, in the West.
And is actively keeping Boston out of Columbus.
We'll see you later.
Oh, yeah. I'll let Wilfred know where it went. All right, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, good. I'll, should get your. Yeah, then you gotta put some flags
So
out.
I've got a few.
Getting flags to fly.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
And they're good colors.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Wait a minute.
What's
No,
right?
no.
Oh, that was a hard loss on Sunday. Did you
Oh my
watch?
God, don't even get me started. That was,
Bart don't understand, never done nothing.
I've given up on football. I hate football.
Oh
I'm
my
not watching
gosh.
football ever
I'm
again.
gonna show you a picture of the dogs. We were watching. The
All right,
dogs
I'm gonna
in
wear
our-
this,
where we were
I'm
watching
gonna
the
wear
game
this
and
as
then
long, until I start sweating, and then I might have to take it off, but maybe not. I'll probably keep it on. All right. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the September 26, 2023 general session, September 28, 2023 briefing session, November 29, 2023 administrative briefing session.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Thank you, the minutes have been approved.
All right. The coroner.
Resolution number 93423. Resolution authoring an agreement with Flow Partner LLC, a communications and personnel consulting firm for internal communications and team building services for the Franklin County Forensic Science Center Office of the Coroner in the amount of $20,000.
Morning, Commissioners. Patrick McLean with the Coroner's Office. And I would note also a 1996 original cruise season ticket holder back at Ohio
Glory to
Stadium. I
Columbus.
got to say, Floor.com is a much better venue for watching real football. Let me also note that Dr. Obermeyer, himself a great Prue fan, is also on the call this morning. The Coroner's Office would like to engage with Flow Partner LLC for the purpose of providing consulting services. Flow Partner will provide internal communication strategies, team building, and personnel development guidance to the Franklin County Coroner's Office leadership team, as well as to the staff within the morgue. Flow Partner will also engage in a personality assessment with the leadership team at FCCO. This contract is part of a broader personnel management strategy that will stabilize the current staff and position the FCCO for anticipated growth over the coming decade. As many of you know, the FCCO has seen its caseload grow by approximately 80% since 2015, and continued caseload growth is anticipated as Franklin County continues to experience strong population growth. With this level of growth, it is essential that teams within the FCCO are strong and prepared to handle more cases. This contract is also consistent with the FPS operations study that we've talked about before, which the coroner's office was recommended that we conduct an effective communication and conflict resolution training. Contract is meant to provide initial engagement between Flow Partner and FCCO. We would anticipate a second phase in early 2024. This particular contract will not exceed $20,000, and I would be happy to take any questions.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 934-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 93423 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. All right, the engineer.
We have a public hearing, Mr. President.
So we have a public hearing for resolution 93523. Can the clerk please read the public hearing?
Plans approved for the improvement of Chambers Road from Kenny Road to Hess Boulevard, Clinton Township, and for the improvement of all streets within the Westbrook subdivision, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
All right, I'd like to open a public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak at this public hearing? All right, seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing and have the clerk read the resolution into the record.
Resolution number 93523. Plans approved for the improvement of Chambers Road from Kenny Road to Hess Boulevard, Clinton Township, and for the improvement of all streets within the Westbrook subdivision, Franklin Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brad Foster, along with Nick Soulis for the County Engineer's Office. Commissioners, the first resolution authorized the plan approval for the improvements on Chambers Road from Kenny Road to Hess Boulevard and for the improvements of all streets within the Westbrook subdivision. This project, funded by Community Development Block Grant funding through the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department, is located in Clinton Township and in Franklin Township and seeks to add sidewalks along the roadways. Construction is scheduled for winter of 2024. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 935-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 93523 has been adopted. Resolution number 93623. Resolution approving a contract modification with J&J Schlegel Incorporated for the Elliott Road and Hayden Run Road Drainage Improvement Project, an increase of $234,150.30 for a revised contract amount of $3,180,675.18.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks to authorize a contract modification with J&J Schlegel for the Elliott Road at Hayden Run Road Drainage Improvement Project, an increase of $234,150.30 for a revised contract amount of $3,180,675.18. During the course of construction, a Columbia gas line was not properly located by the utility company, leading to financial impacts to the contractor. Costs associated with this change order will be reimbursed by Columbia Gas. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 936-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 93623 has been adopted. Resolution number 93723. Resolution approving a contract modification with Decker Construction Company for the improvements of Fisher Road, an increase of $125,202.52 for a revised contract amount of $1,521,135.27.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks to authorize a contract modification with Decker Construction Company for the improvement on Fisher Road, an increase of $125,202.52 for a revised contract amount of $1,521,135.27. During construction, it was necessary to adjust the scope of the work for the installation of a new water line. This project is being administered by the Franklin County Engineer's Office on behalf of the Franklin County Commissioners as a result for the needed improvement to the roadway adjacent to the new Franklin County Corrections Center. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 937-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 93723 has been adopted. Resolution number 93823. Resolution approving a contract modification with Double Z Construction Company for the 2023 General Bridge Maintenance Project, an increase of $215,000 for a revised contract amount of $789,481.80.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks to authorize a contract modification with Double Z Construction Company for the 2023 General Bridge Maintenance Project, an increase of $215,000 for a revised contract amount of $789,481.80. During construction, it was necessary to adjust the scope of the work for the installation of a precast concrete culvert for the Pontius Road over Muddy Run project in Madison Township. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 937-23.
Second.
Commissioner, it's 938.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 938-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 938-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 939-23, resolution granting approval to declare equipment obsolete and no longer needed for Franklin County use and authorizing the sale of said equipment.
Commissioners, the next resolution seeks authorization to declare equipment obsolete and authorizes the sale for proper disposal of the identified equipment. We will allow political subdivisions a designated period of time to bid and purchase those items before offering them to the public
Right.
for public auction. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
Right, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 939-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 939-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 940-23, resolution requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to reduce the speed limit on Roar Road, County Road number 235, Hamilton Township, City of Obetz, Franklin County, Ohio.
Commissioners, our next resolution seeks authorization to request the Ohio Department of Transportation to investigate the speed limit on Roar Road from Lockbourne Road to Shook Road. ODOT will review Franklin County's study and determine a safe speed limit. A study was conducted by Franklin County and it was determined that the speed limit reduction from 55 to 45 would be appropriate. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 940-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 940-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 941-23, report second of the Franklin County Engineer establishing sums of compensation for a portion of the owners of property abutting the Cleveland Avenue from Huey Road to Cook Road Improvement Project, Clinton Township, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $2,834.
Commissioners, our final resolution seeks compensation for two property owners abutting the Cleveland Avenue from Huey Road to Cook Road Improvement Project in Clinton Township. This project seeks to improve pedestrian safety and access management along the corridor. We negotiated with the property owners, and the compensation is based on appraised fair market value. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 941-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 941-23 has been adopted.
Thank you very much, and go Crew.
Thank you. To the Sheriff's Office.
Resolution number 942-23, resolution authorizing a consultant contract with The Ohio State University for crime research services in the amount of $50,000.
Good morning, Commissioners and County Administration. Albert Smith, the Assistant Finance Director for the Sheriff's Office. Our resolution this morning will allow our office to collaborate with The Ohio State University for the purpose of crime analysis. Our office has a need for spatial analysis of crime and violence in support of hotspot policing to combat violent crime in Franklin County. The analysis will utilize geographic information system analysis to map the distribution of crime, identify hotspots using data provided by our office. Funding has been earmarked in the 2022 American Rescue Plan Grant. The services will be performed by October 30th of next year and will not exceed $50,000. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 942-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 942-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Albert. The Public Defender.
Resolution number 943-23, resolution authorizing an agreement with Ralph Anderson and Associates for recruitment services for the position of Public Defender in the amount of $49,750.
Good morning, Commissioners. Christy Clarizio with the Franklin County Public Defender's Office. After 45 years of service with the Franklin County Public Defender Office, 23 of those of which he was director, Director Venters has officially advised our board of his intent to retire at the end of his current term, which is expiring in March of 2024. This allows the Public Defender Office and representatives of our commission to negotiate an agreement with Ralph Anderson and Associates for recruitment services to replace him, a price not to exceed $49,750. The term of the contract shall be in effect until all scope of services and pricing are completed. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval for this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 943-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 943-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christie. Emergency Management Agency.
Resolution number 944-23. Resolution authorizing the Franklin County Administrator and the Director of Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security to execute an FY 2023 State Homeland Security Program grant and authorizing the Director of Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security to be the designated agent for administration purposes in the amount of $333,300.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Young, representing Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. This resolution approving the county administrator signing the FY 2023 State Homeland Security Grant Agreement will allow us to proceed with 3 projects submitted to Ohio EMA for funding. These projects are to reimburse for large crowd special events that have received a DHS rating, such as Ohio State football games, medical countermeasures warehouse equipment for Columbus Public Health, and further development of a disaster or mass fatality caused family and victim assistance center plan. I will gladly answer any questions you may have and ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 944-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 944-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Economic Development and Planning.
Mr. President, there's a public hearing.
So we have a public hearing for this resolution. Can the clerk please read the public hearing?
Resolving adverse effects to the historic Woodyard East Chapel Funeral Directors Building located at 2300 East Livingston Avenue, Bexley, Ohio, 43209, by the Bexley Apartments Livingston Project Undertaking.
So I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the crowd that would like to speak to the public hearing or online? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Janine Hummer on behalf of Gary Tyack, prosecutor, and on behalf of Interim Director Rochelle Pride regarding this resolution. In accordance with federal law, we have before you the public hearing requirement so that the public can provide input on this affordable housing project located in Bexley. This matter is before you because the location of the project is located where there is a historic structure, which triggers requirements under the HUD specifications as it relates to historic structures. We have had 2 public hearings to allow the public to address this before the commissioners. This will conclude the public hearing process. The next step will be for those interested parties to enter into the memorandum of agreement since we have met that requirement.
Please.
Attorney Hummer, did this come before us last week as well?
It
Okay, I
did.
just wanted to make sure it's the same project and property. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I want to point out the commissioners' due diligence regarding this project by holding 2 public hearings to make sure the public was aware of this project, be able to come forward, provide transparency and information to the Board of Commissioners.
Janine, I'm sorry, Attorney Hummer, do we now expect it to come before us as a voting item? And when
No,
would that be?
you've already approved the MOA in draft form. Brianna Morris is here, who has led this project with regard to meeting requirements of that MOA, and will now move forward obtaining signatures, having met this particular requirement. We continue to work with other environmental pieces that the county administrator and interim director Pride are currently working on in order to keep this project moving forward.
Gotcha. Thank you. To Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 945-23. Resolution approving a subaward agreement with the Columbus Urban League for the Journey to Wealth program in the amount of $150,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Chief Administrator for Franklin County Job and Family Services. The Journey to Wealth program was launched last year and grew out of the Urban League 700 Credit Score initiative, which we were a long-term funder. The 700 Credit Score initiative focused on improving credit scores. Journey to Wealth takes it a step further, seeking to build and sustain economic mobility by offering financial education services that foster the value of financial worth, wellness, and wealth. The Journey to Wealth program supports Franklin County residents who are at or below the poverty level by providing financial planning, credit counseling, debt management, and financially centered cognitive behavioral coaching. Using a financial resiliency curriculum, as well as individual and small group coaching sessions, the Columbus Urban League will support 100 Franklin County residents. This resolution aligns with goal number 9 of our Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 945-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Abstain.
Resolution number 945-23 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention. Resolution number 946-23. Resolution approving subaward agreements with multiple community agencies for the Franklin County In-School Youth Comprehensive Case Management and Employment Program in the amount of $5,599,999.99.
The Comprehensive Case Management and Employment Program,
Give it a penny.
branded by Franklin County as Achieve More and Prosper, or AMP, promotes academic and employment success by reducing barriers and providing opportunities for secondary and post-secondary education, training, and credentials that lead to employment. The program blends both TANF and WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funds, to cover year-round services and programs, including credit recovery and GED programs, subsidized and unsubsidized work experiences, vocational and occupational skills training, supportive services, and follow-up services. The 3 agencies awarded contracts to serve in-school youth over the next funding cycle are the Columbus Literacy Council, Lead the Way Academy, and St. Stephen's Community House. And together, they are projected to serve approximately 950 youth year-round. Funding for the Lead the Way Academy has increased for this year to support youth that will participate in a new esports technology career pathway pilot program in partnership with Levels Unlocked. This resolution aligns with the Rise Together Blueprint goal number 11, and pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
Before we pass this resolution, I just want to make a couple quick comments. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to tour the Juvenile Detention Center, and I want to thank the administration for providing so many of our administrative resources to be a part of that review. And I know Commissioner Crawley is going to be doing something similar, and I know Commissioner O'Grady has a lot of concern in this area as well. But I will say, I wasn't going to make comments on this, but I feel compelled to. I was reminded yesterday of just how much work that we have to do for our young people, and particularly when it comes to minorities whose families have already been disrupted at whatever level, at whatever the scenario might be, that is causing a pipeline of young people to be institutionalized in a way that statistically has such a dramatic negative impact on their lives in our community that I was reminded of how much more we have to do. And so when I see this number and of almost, a 5.5, almost $5.6 million, just a penny short, it really pales in comparison to what needs to be done. And DCA Bivens walked me down to my car yesterday when we were leaving. I think she knew I was affected by the tour. And as always, she was kind enough to take a minute to have some words with me about it. 'Cause she's knee deep in this stuff, so she, you know, this is what she sees and does every day. And so I was telling her that it really threw me for a loop to feel this way and just look into the eyes of so many young boys and be reminded of my own time there, quite frankly. And I was talking to Emily in my office this morning. I said, I could barely sleep last night because thinking about how much more we have to do. And I don't even know where to start, you know, because it really is a broader fight in community. And the Rise Together work that we've started is what I would say a tactical part of our way to get at this on so many levels, because it's not any one thing, but more thinking, you know, back up. Yesterday we were talking about the facility itself, and not just the age of the facility, because that's facilities age, and we do the best we can to keep them up and to try to, you know, make them serviceable. But really it's about providing the service of triage and whatever those young people and thus their families need in order to really drive change. And so I think, and I'm sorry to do this, but I think we're at the beginning of a conversation that needs to be had, that while painful in terms of our approach, and by the way, Commissioner Crowell, I acknowledge you both. And I was talking about, I spoke before Rise Together staff retreat yesterday, and I acknowledge you both. And I said, you know, Commissioner Crawley has brought to the table big ideas around early childhood development and education. I said Commissioner O'Grady has been an advocate and a fighter for food insecurity and making sure that families have the right nutrition and access to food. And I said, and so in a very comprehensive way, we are thinking very differently, and you've got three commissioners with three very different backgrounds and approaches to things, but that's what makes it come together. But final point, this investment today is indicative of just how much more we have to do.
Absolutely.
And so I challenged Director Deshae Bivens when she walked into my car, said we got to rethink this conversation. You know, we've built forensic science centers, a new jailhouse, a new institution there. We're doing massive things, a courthouse that was recently built, and at the basin of society's bigger fight are these faces of these kids, these young boys. And I said to Emily with me, I whispered in her ear as we were walking, I said, I want you to take notice of how many black boys are here. And I can show you statistically what this means, not just for their lives, but for this community. And I can show you the economic case on the other side of this. And so Deshae Bivens and I were just kind of huddling up to talk about taking a step to do more. Now, and it's not just dollars and cents.
Right.
It is really thinking deeper and strategically. It's thinking about food insecurity and, well, how that fits into the equation in the broader sense, not in this sort of, and I don't mean it in any negative way, but not in this sort of spot by spot. It's comprehensively thinking about it. It is, I know you've been a big advocate for mental health, and it is thinking about the mental health investments that not impact, not just that kid, but the family they come from, and what's happening there. And the early childhood piece is absolutely critical, because the statistics connect to showing their trajectory by the absence of that education, in addition to whatever crisis led them into that facility. And I'm telling you, it is profound to walk through that facility and look in the eyes of those boys and know that there has to be a better way. And well, look, that's, I can talk about this all day. So for somebody who may be looking at this and say, that's a lot of money it's really not. It's really not. It is a drop in the bucket to what we need to do. And I challenge the municipalities out there. I challenge all the mayors. I challenge all the city council people to join in us in this fight. A lot of times in government, we zero in on what our governmental political subdivision responsibilities are. But I can tell you this county, we go outside of that all the time. And sometimes I feel like maybe we're nickel and diming ourselves to death here with this stuff instead of hardcore, comprehensive stuff that really is moving the needle, because when we do that, you see it move. You see the change. And so I really want to just say, I know all the mayors are watching this right now, and they're listening. The mayors are sitting riveted by our legislation we're passing, I'm sure they are. And so if you're listening, mayors,
They watch it on the replay on YouTube.
that's right. They watch it. I know they do.
I guarantee.
But I challenge them. I challenge us all to come together and think differently about what we're doing for these families. And you're going to hear from Franklin County this year about our men's unit. You're going to hear more about our FSU, our Family Stability Unit. You're going to hear more about some of the work that we're diving into and digging into. But it won't be enough for you to listen and say, hey, good job, nice stat there. What I'm asking for is that we come together to have a real conversation, because at the end of the day, all of those boys were probably arrested through the municipal system, through probably a local law enforcement officer. And they came through that system, so we're all in this together. Those families that, whether it was a car that was stolen or something else that was there, and Commissioner Crowe, I can't wait for you to take the tour so we can huddle up and hear your thoughts on it too. But I only say that because I want to say, as we'll get through this budget process, but I challenge the administration for us to huddle up and to rethink this all together. We heard about a couple of states, cities, counties that have changed the narrative so much they closed down the facilities. And they now have these smaller units that serve, and some of them were big cities, Texas cities. There was one Texas city they talked about that they closed down the facility, and boy, what a great thing that would be to be able to close down the facility. So anyways, that's all I have to say.
If I may, President O'Grady.
Please.
And I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Boyce. I think it's needed, and I hate when you say, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think we have to, especially when it comes to our youth that are in our juvenile facilities or who get picked up for, criminal behavior. And I know we're doing it in school, and then we have it out of school, right? And so just to your point about it being a drop in the bucket, we know early investments can change the life course and the trajectory of our youth. When I was getting my undergrad degree in criminology with a focus on juvenile delinquency, it was the early investments, the ongoing investments in children and families. It's the social bonds that are created early on that can deter our juveniles from engaging in criminal behavior, even when they have the opportunity to. And I just did a rough estimate of the people that are in our jail right now, not our juvenile, our jail. And if I just do 1,800, and I know our daily population varies, 1,800 people, $100 a day, 365 days a year, that's 65 million, almost $66 million a year that we just spend on housing our residents that are in our facility. And I think about, what if we invested $65 million in early education, in out-of-school activities year-round, on in-school activities year-round. The program that you talked about, the Momentum program, if we invested significantly in a Momentum, what that could do for our community and for our kiddos and our children. I know I've traveled a lot, and people are like, "Don't say kiddos."
I love that word.
I say
love that word. Yeah.
it was a whole
It only
thing.
works for her, though.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing when I went to Care Fest. They were like, "Don't make it immature," and I was like, "These are kids, okay." You know, and I just think about if we had that type of investment all the time with the additional supportive services, what it would look like. What it would look like for our youth. And as you described how you walk through and the faces and the boys that you saw, like that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart because they are already facing a world that where they feel like they're devalued, and they're not taken seriously, and their life doesn't matter. And then when they go in here, we break their spirit even more. And it's like if they just had X. If they just knew that someone, I always say Miss Freeman because Miss Freeman was my fifth grade teacher who made an impact on me. If they just had a Miss Freeman who said something to them every single day that they knew she cared, or their parents had whatever they needed so they, could support their family the way that parents really want to support their families, what that would do for our community, what that would do. And so, to your point, it is a drop in the bucket. And I said to Joy the other day, I said, I know I come back and I'm like, we're gonna do this, this, and this. And I was like, I know it puts pressure on our staff. She's like, you don't let no grass grow under your feet. I said, and what did I say? I said, because I know what it will do for our people.
Absolutely.
For our community.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts and ideas and how we all can collaborate to change the life course, the trajectory for our youth, for our kids, and I say all the kids in Franklin County are my kids, and I say 21 and under are kids. Those are our kids, and I appreciate this resolution. I appreciate the organizations that are working to make a difference. We need more organizations. We need more dollars, and we need more partners. So thank you for your comments.
Commissioners, just really quick, I wanted to, Commissioner Grady, I don't know if you were going to mention, he has been convening, Joy Bivens, Deputy County Administrator of Health and Human Services, I know they have to be formal. He's been convening a group of us with the judges, the juvenile judges, and all of our, human services and city officials in this space. Out of this conversation, Director Pride is involved, and what we continue to keep hearing is, just like we saw little black boys, we saw about 12 little black girls as well. And one of them looked like they were 9 years old. And yesterday. Yeah. And I volunteered in that facility for over a year with my husband. And the level of just despair in the eyes of those little girls. But I wanted to lift up and commend you all because as we're working on, we don't have every solution, but as our human service agencies continue to align this one door, we're trying to work collectively with our multi-generational families so we can get in there and mitigate some of the things. So again, I didn't know if Commissioner O'Grady was going to lift up this anti-violence he's been convening these stakeholders about, but then also on Levels Unlocked, because I was thinking about exposure yesterday, and I'm going to say this. Levels Unlocked, the first African-American female physician, quadruple board certified, who was the first female for the NBA, black female for the NBA. She works with the WNBA, she works with the World Health Organizations, quadruple board certified, is leading this esports initiative, invested right here in Franklin County. What is that gonna do, that type of exposure to a little girl, a little boy seeing her?
Real quick, to Commissioner Boyce's point about mental health, that's why when we talk about our child care center, we talk about state of the art, doing something that's not done anywhere else. We have specifically emphasized perinatal mental health being provided right in the child care center because to your point, I mean, we can't wait till they're 12, 13, 14. We know black boys especially are committing suicide at higher rates between the ages of 12 and 15. What would it do to make sure that they have access to parents have access in bonding in addressing mental health? at 3, at 4, you know, and it's not always like serious conversations, it's play therapy and all of those things. But to your point, I'm glad you mentioned that. What difference that would make, giving families access to resources early on in the mental health space.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to belabor this, and I mentioned this and talked to Rise together about how it's great for me to serve with two colleagues that, in their own ways, with their own background, really dig into it. DJ Bivens, since you mentioned it, I know Commissioner Grady had really been working behind the scenes and I really appreciate that about him, to really try to dig in to this conveningness issue in a way that I've been watching very closely, because I think it can be profound to just lead. And certainly Commissioner Crawley in her way, she went big with this early childhood learning piece. I think that's off the charts. But I will say this, and I'm gonna end on this, because this isn't even what this legislation isn't necessarily, but when I went through that facility yesterday, I always wondered about my own experience there and what I might have looked like to people walking through the facility, or people who were running the system, and what they saw in me, just whatever the situation that led me or those other kids to be there, what they saw. And if we don't have the type of society that can rehabilitate, correct deviant behavior that is generally rooted from other things, other trauma, other environment that's really out of the hands of that kid. They were born into, most cases, environments that produced that kind of activity or that kind of outcome. And if we can't find a way to invest in them, then we are in trouble as a society. We are in deeper trouble. And so, because again, I kept looking at those kids thinking, I wonder what I looked like. I wonder which kid I was as I look at them. And I think about the factors that, because statistically, they were talking about this yesterday, if you end up there for just one night, statistically, everything changes for you substantially. You are more likely to drop out of high school. You are more likely to end up in the penal system, the actual adult penal system. You are more likely to be killed. You are more likely to be on drugs. And I mean significantly. I'm not talking about by 2% or 5% or 10%. I'm talking 50% in many cases. And I think about the things that provided myself with a pathway to not be statistically subjected to that kind of life. And I can't help but to think it's stuff like this, that even while I don't know it, it exists. Someone, I said this to the Rise Together folks, somebody had the idea to have recreation centers and have after-school programs and have, basketball in the gym. Somebody had the idea to have a Little League sports program. Somebody hired the teacher that picked me up every day and took me and made sure that I was not out on the streets and going to practice. There was somebody that was thinking in that way. And so, as we do take these steps, I'm gonna challenge us all to take a step back and really think, if we can build a jail for, I loved your statistics, by the way, your numbers about the 65 million. I think I'm gonna use that over and over again. But I'd add to it that if we can build a nearly $500 million adult correctional jail, then we can do something. We can build a forensic science, and all of those are needed things. I voted in support of those. I'm not saying we didn't do anything, but we can rethink how we are addressing young people who are in crisis and end up in those facilities. And so I don't know what that means, and I don't know where this goes, but I think with these commissioners and this administration, if not now, when? If not us, who? This is our opportunity to really move the needle and change. And I challenge the Rise Together Institute. I challenge them. If Danielle Sidnor says, and I did yesterday anyway, I challenge you to help us think through this stuff. And even thinking about stuff like signage. When we were talking about, I was talking to Rise Together, and I said, staff did this wonderful approach to, signage. And we challenge them to think bigger. challenge them to think differently. To say, why is it that somebody walks in these facilities and can't, through an app, with the technology we have today, be able to access every one of their records, their services, their needs, their directions, everything they need in their pocket with their phone. And it's not even about being the best county and being all flashy. It's about serving these folks. And in that, embedded in that, is the kind of results that have meaning. And so that's enough for me. But
Well said.
anyways, let's spend a whole bunch of money on young people.
Well said.
Oh, yeah, thank you, sir. All right, move to adopt Resolution 946-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 94623 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners, and we look forward to thinking bigger with you.
Resolution number 94723, resolution approving a COVID-19 recovery grant for the Franklin County RISE Initiative supporting Franklin County families and child care providers in the amount of $11,500,000.
Commissioners, we are very excited to bring this resolution this morning. The Franklin County RISE Initiative is a $23 million generational investment in our early learning system. We launched the multi-year RISE Initiative in March of 2022, putting equity at the center and taking a whole system approach across 3 pillars: scholarships to increase accessibility and affordability, incentives and supports for licensed early learning providers, and financial and housing assistance for early learning educators. Over the course of year 1, we provided affordability scholarships to over 700 families and over 1,200 incentives to support childcare providers, many of which are located in some of our lowest asset neighborhoods and zip codes. We've taken lessons learned from this first year, plus, as well as the feedback from providers we prepared for year 2. The 3 pillars support for our children and families, for our providers, and for our educators won't be changing, but we will be refining them to better meet our community's needs. The affordability scholarships will provide up to $9,000 for up to during a 12-month period, a decision supported by data from the actual payments from last year. And we've modified the income eligibility criteria to align with the updated publicly funded child care threshold from 142 to 145, up to 300% of the federal poverty level. We forecast we will be able to provide no fewer than 600 scholarships over year 2. We've also streamlined the number of different incentives available to child care providers while increasing the award amounts. That includes incentives for providers who increase their step-up to quality rating, incentives for providers who enter into new agreements to participate in the publicly funded child care program, and up to $10,000 in incentives for providers who expand care during non-traditional hours. We've also been continuing our dedicated rental assistance fund. We will also be continuing our dedicated rental assistance fund for early learning educators. We are bringing on a new partner to assist us for this year, Future Ready 5. In addition to helping administer the program, they will also be offering kindergarten readiness training for parents and caretakers, as well as technical support for child care providers, and we'll be working with them to capture an array of outcomes and demographic data that will help inform our comprehensive early learning strategy for the entire county. Our scholarship portal will reopen today following your approval. Families already on the wait list do not need to submit a new application. The updated incentives and rental assistance fund will launch in January. Residents or providers who'd like details should visit our website at rise.franklincountyohio.gov. This resolution aligns with our Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 11. And I'd also like to invite the Chief Executive Officer of Future Ready 5, Mr. Mario Barosa. Did I mess it up, Mario? Barosa? From Future Ready 5, up to speak a bit about the program or to answer any questions you all may have this morning about our year 2 of RISE. And pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
Thank you very much, Chief Turner. Appreciate it's Basora is my last name, but it's okay. I've been called Barossa, Basaro, my whole life. It's kind of goes with
He
the
knows we
territory.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate all the commitment on behalf of the commissioners to this work. Gosh, Commissioner Boyce, that was very moving, and it dovetails perfectly with this work. As I'm sure a lot of you all know, 65% of our kids right now are not ready for kindergarten in this county. 75% of our African-American children are not ready for kindergarten. 85% of our Latino children in this community are not ready for kindergarten. We know that over 50% of our kids are not getting early learning care or support at all in this community. And we also know that for every dollar we invest in early childhood, there's an return of $8 or a 700% return on investment over the life of that individual. All of this has been documented and it's out there. And so your commitment to this work is real, it's important, and it's impactful. And I so appreciate, I think I don't want to say too much because I think I'll let Commissioner Boyce's words speak perfectly, because that is exactly right. And as I'm sure Commissioner Crowley has said many times, if we invest in the first 5 years of life, it turns out that is the most important work we do. It is the reason I left the superintendency to do this work, because I know that 0 to 5 is where it's at if we're going to make a difference in the lives of kids in this community and really, really help our struggling children. So, thank you. Any questions?
We have a speaker slip, somebody online for.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. President. We have President Nana Watson online to speak. Ms. President, whenever you're ready, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay, I'll do this very quickly. First of all, good morning to the County Commissioners, Deputy Administrator Wilson, and Deputy County Administrator Bivens. I know I messed that up, but you all know your titles. Let me just say the NAACP is not opposed to this legislation, but we are opposed to Future Ready and what they do, because this community does not know what they do. We've asked several times, I've sent several emails to the CEO asking for information. He just stated that there were 75% of Black children couldn't read. Question is, what are you doing to help them, and how many have you served? I was very concerned about that. All his emails were fluff, never answered the question. So I want to thank Chief Turner for sending that information to the NAACP, because we did not get it from the agency. I'm unclear as to, we are unclear, the NAACP, is what this agency does. Is it Future Ready or is it Future 5? How do they engage with this community? I looked at their board. They have 8 board members. Out of the 8, 2 are Black. Who is representing the community? Who is representing the parents of the children that allegedly you are assisting? I want to know about your diversity and inclusion. I've asked that, commissioners. I've never got an answer to that. Our NAACP wants to know who is going to monitor this agency with taxpayer dollars. Thank you so very much.
That's the only speaker slip we do have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Well, one, I guess, is Mr. Basora.
I can't hear you, Commissioner.
I apologize, President
okay.
Watson. One, I guess, does Mr. Basora want to answer any of President Watson's questions? And number one, and number two, do any of the commissioners have any thoughts or response to President Watson's comments? Mr. Basora?
Would you like me to go first, or?
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. So, Ms. Watson, I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much for your questions. I think what I would say right off the bat is just who Future Ready is, and then I want to talk a little bit about the diversity policy, because that's essentially central to what we've done in a lot of our work here. So Future Ready 5 is an organization that's focused solely on making sure kids are ready for kindergarten. Over the years, I think we've had about 10 years of work. We've started off with different names, and ultimately, I think about 6 months ago, we decided we wanted to shift our name from Future Ready Columbus to Future Ready 5, because our focus is on the whole county, not just the city. and I think it's important that we do that. I will say that our work is all about making sure we're building systems for kids. So right now, the landscape in 0 to 5 is really a blank slate. There is no systems, very little action in terms of making sure kids are prepared and ready. And so our work is about creating an entire system so that when kids are not successful or they're not making it, when we see the statistics that we've been seeing for years, by the way, in this county where only 25% of our African American children are ready for kindergarten, that we can, number one, recognize that and see it early on and then intervene. So our work is about first establishing assessments that ultimately in the 0 to 5 space, we can assess kids wherever they are in preschool settings or at home or whatever their setting is against the kindergarten readiness standards that are set by the state of Ohio. And then based on those results, ultimately intervene with interventions that are provided by organizations throughout the community. So there are 4 major areas we look at when you look at the kindergarten readiness and what kids need to be successful in kindergarten. And right now what's happening is we don't know how kids are, who's going to make it or who's not making it until they enter kindergarten. And so if we start early at age 0 or age 1 and work with families by helping them learn tips and tricks to support their kids, which we're doing right now as we speak, that's our work at the moment. And if we start early with ensuring that kids are in centers and getting the support they need when they're there, that high quality learning is happening, which we are doing right now as well, training centers and helping them support kids with their work too. If we continue to do the work we have done historically with toolkits where we go into communities and our underserved communities and support them by giving books to families and kids along with a kit that helps families and parents read to their children and teaches them the kinds of things they need to look at and work through. If we start now and continue the work we've been doing where we have a monthly calendar that goes out that families are reading to their children and doing dialogical learning and reading strategies, thanks to our COO here who's in the room, Vinay's attorney, who's done a lot of that work for us. I think that's the work we've been doing. It's the work we're going to continue to do. Have the statistics moved? No way. We have a lot of work to be done. That's why, as Commissioner Boyce said, we have to think outside the box and think big. And our plan is definitely big. It's ambitious. It's outside the box. We believe that if we don't focus on data with kids at an early age and make sure we intervene with each individual child, that's the only way we're really going to move the needle and get things done. What we have done up till now historically has not quite progressed children's growth over time. In terms of diversity, I do want to share something about that. So we have 7 members on staff right now. 4 of our 7 members are people of color. I take great pride, 4 of our 8 members are people of color. I take great pride in that work. And in fact, if you talk about our 3 top people within our organization, our CEO, COO, and our vice president, all 3 of our top members of our team are people of color. 50% of our staff are people of color. So for us, diversity is important. It's not just about the work we do, it's about what we live and how we hire and making sure that we have diversity within our staff and what we do. So we're trying to do that every day and doing our best to make that work. This work is all about making sure children, and all too often, unfortunately, children of color are successful and grow at their work. That's why we do what we do, is to help kids who look like me and kids who look like my COO here be successful and grow. And that's what we do. So I'll kind of leave my comments right there and see if there are any other questions from commissioners. Thank you.
I'll defer to you. I'll go next.
Yeah, so I will just chime in. Thank you, Mario, for that. Thank you, President Watson, for your questions and your concerns. So I'm a commissioner, but I'm the co-chair of the board. And I just want to level set and answer some of your questions. Part of the reason why, just frankly, why Future Ready changed their name before Mario came on as CEO, and even during the interview process, it was clear that the county is the largest funder, and the county wanted a focus on the county and not just the city, and that there should be a name that was inclusive of the county and the county work. And when Mario came on, that was one of the first things that he got to down the business on, and I appreciate that. In this contract, and I will tip my hat to Chief Turner, to PJ, to Carmen, in this contract is a requirement or for Future Ready 5 to contract with a DEI specialist, a consultant, to really focus on equity work on the Black and Brown population, to our immigrant population, specifically to meet those needs. The other thing about this that we are requiring is that there is a focus, an intentional focus on the 10 zip codes that have the most need. Those are places where we also have childcare deserts. So historically, I had the same question when I joined the board. What does Future Ready Columbus do? What are they going to do? And I think they had a plan, and we knew that organizations weren't really investing in the plan. And then as we went through a new search, Mario and his team have come up with a new focus that's not a 5-year plan, but a 2-year plan to focus on some things and build off of that. That is a great plan. The mayor was the co-chair with Tanny Crane. He stepped back, and then I became the co-chair with Tanny because even the mayor in our conversations felt like the county is leading in this place, and the county being the biggest funder and have an intentional vision for the county would be best to be a co-chair on Future Ready's board. And so I think you will see going forward, and if you're willing to meet with Mario, I know that has been, you met with him initially when he came on, and he had asked to meet with you since you made your concerns known. You will see where the new vision is and where the organization is going. And as the co-chair, I speak for, my board members can speak for themselves, but I think I could speak for the collective in saying we are excited about where this organization is going, and if it wasn't, we wouldn't even be talking about $11.5 million going to this organization. But I appreciate the concern.
I have,
President
will I be afforded the opportunity to give some more comments? I don't know if I've used my 3 minutes.
Absolutely, President Watson.
Okay, let me just say first, Commissioner Crawley, appreciate you driving this train for the children of our community, especially Black babies. CEO of Future Ready, I need you to do better in communicating with this community about what you do and your expectations and how you want this community to embrace this organization. The NAACP believes the organization is disconnected from the community. You talk about the toolkit. I'm familiar with the toolkit, but how can a parent help a baby read if they can't read? So what are you doing to help that parent of that baby? And I need to see, and I've requested, how many babies have you gotten ready for kindergarten? And that's all I have to say. I would like to have a meeting with you, Commissioner Crawley. I don't want to belabor this meeting. I'd like to have a meeting with you, Commissioner Crawley, to discuss my concerns. Perhaps after that meeting, the NAACP may want to meet with the CEO. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Boyce.
Thank you, President O'Grady, and thank you, Ms. Watson, for always holding us accountable. I really want to commend you just for that. You know, no one escapes your lens of accountability, and it's not just you; it's what you represent in the NAACP. So I appreciate that. I do want to address I would like you to address one of the questions that I'm going to come back to Commissioner Crawley's comments to in a second, but I wanted you to address. When the NAACP makes request for information, and you are a private organization, and you are not obligated to do that. But I also want to make sure you understand that these are our partners. We're all in this together, and it is important that when information is requested, to share what it is, and even if it's not good news, even if it's not, it's okay for it to not always be the best of news. Lord knows that we can't generate that all the time. But I do want to just get your response in terms of when they ask for things, I want to encourage folks to be responsive, because it helps our case make the case for you. Mm-hmm. And I think Commissioner Crawley very eloquently laid that out of how we look at things through our lenses, how we're trying to assess it. But it doesn't help us when our partners out there, like the NAACP, are not informed with the right information. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying when they ask for it, it's helpful to give it to them, and then they can make their assessment based on the information. But if you could just respond to that, that'd be helpful.
So I'll kick that one off, Commissioner Boyce. Typically, when we get a public information request about a funded partner, we as the agency respond for the information. We actually go and seek the information from our provider, and we actually send out the information to the entity that requested the information. So that is why it came through us and from me with detailed information on what the inquiries were. So I didn't want you to think that he actually refused. We basically, that's typically how we handle most of our public information requests.
Okay, that's helpful, but I think that's also, it's good to communicate that to the entity, just so that we're not sort of on Front Street about it. I think that's reasonable. Ms. Watson may want to respond in a second, but let me just kind of comment. Mr. Brassard, did you have?
Well, I think the only additional thing I'd share is that I think we have no problem sharing data. We'd like to share data. I think it's, good, bad, whatever it is. I think the only challenge was what I wanted to do is have a meeting with Ms. Watson to talk about the data while we were meeting so that we could go over it together, have discussions about it, and make sure she was aware that, we just want to make sure that privacy concerns are taken care of with kids and that we were doing that correctly. And then that meeting did not happen, so.
Okay, thank you for that.
Well,
And then if I
let
could
me just say this if I may. Mario, let me say this to you. I requested the information. You insisted on meeting. I wanted the information prior to the meeting. Why would I meet with you to discuss the information? NAACP does research, so you're half right. I did not meet with you because you didn't give me the information beforehand. And I know you're new to Columbus, but NAACP has never received the type of response that you sent, saying you couldn't provide me with the information. We're very disappointed, and that's why I'm on this call today.
And if I could just, I want to finish my comments too. Again, thank you, Ms. Watson. And one, I'll say it does work both ways. That we want the NAACP to also. I've never known of an opportunity where you wouldn't meet with anyone. So I hope that is something that we want to encourage. Even if the two sides don't end up in the same in a mutual place, it's okay. We just want to see people communicating and sitting down. I want to go back to Commissioner Crawley's comments though, because I want the public to understand how we process information. And so Commissioner Crawley is appointed to the Future Radio or Future 5 now? The Future 5 board as a member of the county, right? You're a county appointee representing Franklin County.
Yes.
And that's important because the work is so significant and substantial that there has to be somebody on the county side that is embedded in the work, that really understands the depth and the relationships and is really the information facilitator to the rest of the board. And so we rely on Commissioner Crawley as that member to guide us in the information gathering and recommendation. I know for a fact when Commissioner Crawley first came on the board, I don't want to speak for you, so if I'm wrong, please check me. When she came on the board, she had her lens of review on. She didn't just show up and say, this is the greatest program ever. I remember her being very diligent about, I'm going to evaluate this and assess, and I'm not sure where we're at on this. And so that she comes to the table today with a recommendation of some sort, we are in a position where we have to rely on that because we selected her to be our representative on that board. And so to me, she takes that information and provides it to the rest of the board in a way that equips us to make a decision. And never once does anyone sort of say, try to infuse their position on you. It's really, here's the information, you make and so based on the information we have today, this seems like a logical investment. It seems like a very strong growth point, especially given the conversation we had about the previous resolution. To me, what I'd like to see is the bigger picture of all the resources that we have that we're investing, because oftentimes we've got these buckets and we don't see it as one sort of strategic investment. And that's what I'm interested in seeing and knowing more about versus this conversation. But I will say, I value the recommendation of my colleagues because I know what it's like when I'm serving on a committee, and I know how serious I take it. when I'm taking something to my colleagues, and I know the type of work both of them do when it comes to this type of stuff. So I feel very confident that this is an investment that has significant meaning. That being said, sir, I want to encourage you. It helps us, what's that saying from the Jerry Maguire movie? Help me to help you. Help me help you. Because it is a valuable resource to have the NAACP, whether they are critical or not, informed with the right resources to help all of us think through this. So as I rely on Commissioner Crawley for advice, because she is our representative on that board, I rely on the NAACP to keep us all honest and keep us all accountable as it relates to what's in the best interest of the minorities that we all represent and fight to try to impact. And so I want to encourage that conversation. I'm supportive of this action today and this appropriation today. It's significant too. But I'm supportive of it. And when you came to my office, I was as critical too. I said, I'm not gonna be rubber stamping anything. You gotta make the case. And so I feel that's being done, and I'm supportive.
Commissioner, just really quick, just so y'all know, I'm sorry.
Oh, President O'Grady wants to
I
talk.
apologize. I've been sitting here pretty patiently, but I have something I need to say. So first, let me start by saying that I'm supportive of the resolution. But everybody up here knows that on one hand, I do my best to avoid confrontation. But I also, everybody up here, look at that look on her face. Everybody also up here knows that I won't back down from confrontation. So I will say this. You came to my office and we had a conversation, and we had a very frank conversation about Future Ready and its past. And you told me that you were gonna do your best to fix Future Ready. But in your comments earlier, you indicated that, the numbers haven't changed. Well, this is $11.5 million, and as I indicated, I'm gonna vote for this because I think this is very important work. This is a big deal, and I think we need to do this. But this community doesn't have a history of great community-wide work in the area of early childhood education, which is the conversation you and I had in my office some time ago. But just a few months ago, you were quoted in the newspaper indicating that we need to pass a human services levy in this community. Well, first of all, the phrase human services levy is misleading, because it's not a human services levy that you're indicating that you support. You support an early childhood education levy. So I would tell you two things. Number one, don't talk about a human services levy in the future. Talk about an early childhood education levy, number one. And number two, stop talking about a levy, because we're not ready to pass a levy in this community until we have some success in the area of early childhood education, which we have not had success in this community in my entire time as a county commissioner. And I'm the senior county commissioner here. No offense to my colleagues. They always like to tease me about being the old guy.
In age too. Yeah.
I've been a county
In
commissioner
time
for
and
15
age.
years. For 15 years, and for the 15 years I've been a county commissioner, this community has been talking about early childhood education. And I will tell you, there's been a lack of success in this community in the area of early childhood education. And everybody continues to come back to the county to ask us for funding, and we continue to support the area, support this community in the area of early childhood education funding. And oh, by the way, I don't believe that we need a levy in the area of early childhood education, because we're giving you $11.5 million this morning. We have the ability to fund early childhood education. We've shown the willingness to fund early childhood education. So what I want to tell you is, one, human services levy is the wrong term to use, because that means that our friends down at City Hall and our friends around the community who all want dollars, for all, you know what? If people need money in this community for human services, they should just come see us. The people at City Hall, I've been saying it for years. If they want money for human services, Send them down to the courthouse, because that's what we do. We are the Human Services Agency. County Administrator Wilson and I, and Deputy County Administrator Bivens and I talk about this all the time. That's what we do. But I'm not a vote for an early childhood education levy. Not right now, maybe someday, when we have success. And I'm not saying you won't be successful, and I don't mean to indicate that you won't be. But you indicated yourself just 15 minutes or so ago when we started this conversation that we don't have success yet. The numbers don't bear it out. When the numbers bear it out, come back and talk to me. But for right now, we can't have that conversation. So,
Great comments.
Yeah.
you know,
Comments.
anyway, those are my comments on this particular issue. Sorry, Joy, I didn't mean to, but I was just sitting here getting more and more frustrated.
So, just really quick, and thank you, Mario, and thank your COO for being here. I wanted just to clarify for the public because, President Watson talked about accountability. And just so you all know, I am Commissioner Crawley's designation on the Future Ready Board. One of the reasons why we created Patrick Gamble and Susan's role was to look at the landscape of early childhood education in this community and all the dollars that are being allocated and figuring out how do we align and what is going to be needed for the future so these numbers can draw down. This is for the public to hear. This is a generational work. This is not something that's going to get figured out in 2 years. It's not going to get figured out in 3 years, but we have to start somewhere. And Future Ready, being the collective impact partner, seems to be the strongest arm in having that reach into the community. I will say this, the 11.5 million or whatever the dollars are that are being invested, it is not as though these dollars are being handed over to this entity. The Franklin County Commissioners are not just the funder, they're the partner. So if they look at the data and see that things are not going in the direction they wanted to go into, then we have collective conversation and we make mitigation and we change things. But I will say, as Commissioner Crawley sits on that board, she is always pushing, I believe, all of us to make sure that we're looking at things differently. But I do want to make sure, and then President Watson, I will make sure, and I failed to do this before, I will make sure that I get on your calendar so that you can sit down and talk to Patrick and Susan on where we're going in the future. So I apologize to you for not doing that sooner.
And if I may, I'm not going to belabor this point, but I'm glad we are having this conversation. I am so glad we are having this conversation today. I said to, before we even got to Patrick and Susan, I said to Administrator Wilson and to my colleagues, as I travel around, I can't do this by myself. This is a lot of traveling, a lot of work. We need to build out an infrastructure. I need support. We need support for our expanded early learning strategy, and to align all the money that we're spending. We are so disjointed. We have money going out of JFS, community partnerships. There's no alignment. And what Deputy County Administrator Bivens and what Administrator Wilson can tell you is that I look at all of these resolutions and I'm like, okay, are we having conversations with our partners? Nationwide Children's Hospital, we gave them $15.5 million. That is supposed to be supporting our early learning strategy. I've had conversations with CEO Basaro to say, hey, we need to streamline. We had not had any progress in the early learning space because there has not been an intentional alignment of programming and funding and assessment and tracking and data to get us to where we need to be. The investment has not been significant enough, and it would not be, especially when we don't have alignment. We also don't have partnerships with the private community. If I look at just from Future Ready's perspective and we look at the budget and who's giving, it's us. It's always government. Where the private community does not see this as investment in the early learning space. One is a workforce issue. It is an educational issue. There's an infrastructure issue. It impacts their community, their employees, and they are unwilling to invest significantly. If we could put $120 million into ECE every year without having a ballot initiative, we absolutely should. We absolutely should do that. We see other places like Mecklenburg County who invest without a levy. We need significant dollars in this space, but I agree with you, Commissioner O'Grady. We need to have some some numbers to show for it. And I think as we align all our strategies, we work with Scarlett, Bowder, and ACS, and Simon and others to get us to a place. I think we will see progress. I think we have to be very strategic, and that's what I bring to this table and having DCA Bivens and Patrick, because they are the ones that's supposed to be communicating with you all the time, every other week or however often y'all brief, to let you know where we're going. As fiduciaries of taxpayer dollars, and understanding that our numbers are abysmal when we talk about outcomes, we have to do something different, and that's what I'm trying to do. I appreciate your support on this. This is our investment. The scholarships are for families that hit that benefits cliff that you talk about all the time, Commissioner Boyce. When we talk about the housing, and all of our investments, that is what we continue to do. Our teachers only make on average $12 an hour. They're coming through JFS for benefits. Like, we have to reimagine this significantly. But there will come a point in the next 2 years or so where we're going to have a real conversation when we are able to move the needle to say we need some more dollars, and what does that look like? And I would love to have the county's investment without a ballot initiative. Our taxpayers are levied enough. They are.
So I need to mention, we are following this meeting with a ditch petition, and I know we have at least one or two folks in the audience who have shown up already for that, and we have the Licking County Commissioners already on Zoom waiting for that. We are running behind schedule and have several more resolutions needed to be passed, so I want to make sure the Licking County Commissioners know and understand that we are, 10 or 12 resolutions behind schedule right now.
Can you make the motion?
Yeah, you want to make a motion to move on with this one.
All right. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 947-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 947-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 948-23. Resolution approving agreements with the Community Mediation Services of Central Ohio and the Legal Aid Society of Columbus for housing stabilization services and legal assistance in the amount of $440,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Community Mediation Services provide support for 10 of eligible residents facing eviction. Their 2-hour eviction prevention education workshop targets tenants at high risk of eviction and those experiencing homelessness who would be seeking housing in the future. Since the program's inception, 85% of the individuals served maintain their current housing and/or successfully relocate to alternative stable housing and avoid the need for emergency shelters. The funding will allow community mediation to serve approximately 950 residents. The Legal Aid Society of Columbus provides a wide range of legal services to low-income families. The services include counsel and advice, support in administrative and court cases, as well as appeals. Legal aid services are made available to low-income families in need of housing, family law, consumer and tax immigration and naturalization, and reentry support. Under this agreement, the Legal Aid Society will continue to provide all of the services noted above for an estimated 89 residents. These agreements fulfill the short-term action steps of the Rise Together Blueprint Goal Number 6. And pending any questions, I request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 948-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 948-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 949-23. Resolution approving subaward agreements with Asian American Community Services and the Salvation Army for the Franklin County Out-of-School Time Youth Programs in the amount of $293,990.31.
Commissioners, this resolution represents the final 2 of the 27 community agencies recommended for funding under the RFP that was released earlier this year. Asian American Community Services and the Salvation Army will serve approximately 65 youth in their after-school and which coincides with the academic school year and serve approximately 77 kiddos in the free summer learning program. This resolution aligns with the Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 11, and pending any questions, I request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 949-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 949-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 950-23, resolution approving subaward agreements with multiple community agencies for the Franklin County Out-of-School Youth Comprehensive Case Management and Employment Program Services in the amount of $4,337,999.72.
This resolution would fund the out-of-school cohort of youth ages 16 to 24 that we serve through our Achieve More and Prosper Comprehensive Case Management and Employment Program. Youth in AMP receive year-round wraparound assistance to help develop employment skills, obtain industry-recognized credentials, and participate in meaningful work experience. The program is designed to promote academic and employment success, reduce barriers, and provide opportunities for education, training, and credentials that lead to gainful employment wages. During this last program year, approximately 1,000 out-of-school youth participated in year-round AMP, and 62% achieved measurable skills gain or an industry-recognized credential. Under this award, the Academy for Urban Scholars, Eckerd Youth Alternatives, Goodwill Industries of Central Ohio, and Youth Build Columbus Community School will provide services to approximately 800 out-of-school youth. This resolution aligns with our Rise Together Blueprint Goal number 11, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 950-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 950-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, PFM. I'm sorry, Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 951-23. Resolution authorizing contract extensions number 2 with PSP Operations Incorporated, doing business as ServPro of Northeast Columbus, and Ohio Technical Services Incorporated to provide specialized cleaning services at designated Franklin County facilities in the amount of $300,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director, Public Facilities Management. Public Facilities Management is responsible for the facility needs of the various agencies and offices of Franklin County. This resolution authorizes the second and final one-year extension to the contract with 2 local firms, PSP Operations, Inc., doing business as ServPro of Northeast Columbus, and Ohio Technical Services, Inc., to provide specialized COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 cleaning services. This is a not-to-exceed contract, and both firms continue to perform satisfactorily. Pending any questions, PFM respectfully requests your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 951-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yeah.
Resolution number 951-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darla. Purchasing Department.
Resolution number 952-23. Resolution approving one purchase order for the Franklin County Treasurer's Office for Huntington National Bank in the amount of $5,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing, and joining me this morning is Tamika Bumper, Economic Equity Administrator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This resolution requests your approval of one purchase order for the Treasurer's Office to encumber funds under an active contract with Huntington National Bank. The County Auditor has pre-certified available funding for this purchase order. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for approval of Resolution 952-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Abstain.
Resolution number 952-23 has been adopted with Commissioner Boyce's noted abstention. Resolution number 953-23. Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $4,090,025.98.
Commissioners, this resolution requests your approval of 155 purchase orders for which the County Auditor has pre-certified available funding. Tamika has prepared the supplier diversity data to share with you today. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. 8 of the purchase orders being presented today are being awarded to small emerging businesses totaling $68,376.94. 1% is being awarded to local economically disadvantaged businesses, 1% to minority-owned businesses, another 1% to small businesses, and 3% to women-owned businesses. Once these are approved, 6 agencies have provided equitable and inclusive opportunities to small businesses this week. These agencies include Child Support Enforcement Agency, Court of Common Pleas, Data Center, Public Facilities Management, Purchasing, and the Recorder's Office. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 953-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 953-23 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. The Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 954-23, resolution authorizing appropriation adjustments for county's wellness incentive program, termination payouts, and to offset budgeted vacancy reductions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Telerik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution is our annual review to ensure that county entities are able to meet their payroll obligations through the end of the year. This year, the resolution includes transfers within the general fund of $16.8 million, non-general fund transfers just under $1 million, and supplemental appropriations of $4.4 million. Nothing out of the ordinary. These are probably a little higher, primarily due to some collective bargaining agreements that were approved after passage of the 2023 budget, as well as some of the final implementation from last year's salary study. Pending any question, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 954-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 954-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 955-23, resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations within the Federal Emergency Management Agency Fund for the distribution of the grant awards from the Public Assistance Program with respect to COVID-19.
Commissioners, this resolution would distribute funding received from FEMA. Per the requirements, the funds must be deposited into a separate fund and then distributed to the agencies who incurred expenses. This resolution transfers $2.8 million, of which just over $2.5 million will return to the general fund. The reimbursement includes $1.9 million for personal protective equipment and cleaning expenses, $600,000 for closeout of the Surge Hospital, and approximately $300,000 for vaccination efforts by Franklin County Public Health. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 955-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 955-23 has been adopted. Resolution number 956-23, resolution authorizing the issuance and repayment and extension of various interfund loans.
Commissioners, this is our annual review of interfund loans that are required for cash flow purposes. This resolution would authorize the repayment of just under $3 million of an interfund loan that was provided at the end of last year to the Emergency Rental Assistance Fund as the county was waiting for the redistribution from Treasury of the additional emergency rental dollars. In addition, the resolution would authorize the extension of 10 interfund loans for another year that are required for cash flow purposes. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 956-23.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 956-23 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Journalizations, do we have any journalizations?
Yes, we do, Mr. President. We have 4. Case number ANX-43-23, a municipal annexation petition, ANX-43-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on November 22nd, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 4.821 acres from Hamilton Township to the village of Obetz. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on December 12th, 2023. The site is 1841 Lizelle Avenue, PID number 150-000023. Case number ANX-51-23, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-51-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on November 22nd, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 0.479 acres from Franklin Township to the City of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on January 2nd, 2024. The site is 4161 Ungaro Drive, PID number 142-000020. Case number ANX-52-23, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-52-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on November 28, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 8.938 acres from Hamilton Township to the city of Obetz. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on January 2nd, 2024. The sites are 2695 Bixby Road, PID number 150-000792, and 2715 Bixby Road, PID number 150-000794. And finally, case number ANX-53-23, a municipal annexation, ANX-53-23, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on November 29, 2023. The petition is requesting to annex 3.13 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on December 12, 2023. The sites are Harrisburg Pike, PID number 160-001431, and Harrisburg Pike Public Right-of-Way. And finally, Commissioners, we do have one remaining resolution, if I may, Mr. President.
Please.
Resolution number 95723. Resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purposes of considering personnel matters and to confer with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office concerning pending or imminent litigation.
Move to convene an executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, and to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Crawley?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 95723 has been adopted to convene into executive session.